Welcome to Tornado Talk. I'm Wes Spikerman, a junior from Wayne, Pennsylvania.
And I'm Jacob and Wes, a senior from Austin, Texas. And this is Tornado Talk.
And with us in the studio, the new studio today, is Macaulay Head of School, Mr. Lee Burns.
Yeah.
All right. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So as we heard Wes say, we do have a new studio. And if you're interested in what the new studio looks like, please go check out our YouTube because this thing is really nice.
Very nice.
Wes and I definitely don't deserve it, but it's okay.
It is what it is.
We'll take what we get.
Inflate the ego a little more.
Yeah. No. Yeah, we're definitely living a little too high right now. Also, we are looking for a new host. I'm not getting kicked off. I am graduating. Wes made it sound like I was getting kicked off of the show. I'm not. I'm graduating. But we do need a new host and a couple new writers. So if you like writing jokes or questions or anything like that, please follow our Instagram, I believe, because that's where we're going to send out some application stuff and some updates on that. So stay tuned. But now, to get into our fantastic guest here, Mr. Burns, we have a little game.
Wait.
Oh.
You know, I like to always test our person. So, Mr. Burns, do you listen to the Tornado Talk podcast?
I have listened to several of them. Not every single one, I don't think, but I have listened to some of them.
Okay.
So then you should be able to answer this question. What is our opening game called?
It's something where you answer rapid fire questions.
I'll take that.
We'll take
That's
I don't know what
close.
you actually call it, but I know there's something to that effect.
Yes,
It's
sir.
called
Yes,
quick
sir.
fire. It's called quick fire.
Okay,
Yeah,
yep.
but it is rapid fire, so we'll take that. All right.
I'm impressed because we'll have people come on here talk about listening, but they have no clue what's going on at the beginning.
Sam Powell said he knew what was going on. He had no idea.
You guys are awesome. Great podcast that you guys do. And
Thank you.
All
Coming in from the booth, we're gonna have to cut all of that out.
So first question: best vacation spot.
best vacation spot, I would say Sea Island, Georgia.
Oh, okay.
That's a golf spot, right?
You know, there is some golf there. I'm not a big golfer, but
Yes, sir.
I've got a brother who has a place there. So it's a family. We've been going there for a long time.
Yes, sir. Sweet. All right, next question. Funniest employee.
Funniest employee. Oh, goodness. Let me think about
Wes
that.
and I were really interested in this question. We took some guesses.
Let me come back to that.
All right, yeah, we'll come back.
Okay.
Venus or Serena?
Serena.
Got that one wrong. Who do you think has the hardest class at Macaulay?
Hardest class at Macaulay. I mean, Rob Lyons is notorious for having a pretty hard class.
Honors
I
pre-cal.
dropped that class.
Honors pre-cal.
Yeah,
Dropped that one.
Okay.
I didn't even attempt that class. Pen or pencil?
Pen.
There we go. That's a good answer. What is the nicest building on campus?
Nicest building on campus. Walker Hall, I guess, is the newest building. I mean, Burns and Presley, I think, are pretty nice as well.
Burns is nice.
Yeah.
As a member of Burns is very nice.
I'm always biased toward Burns. Give him a name for my grandfather. But I'll go with Burns. I mean, it's the newest dorm.
There we go. I like that. Favorite fast food restaurant?
Chick-fil-A. Cliche, but
of course.
it's hard to beat
great
Chick-fil-A.
answer. It is. What is your favorite Macaulay tradition?
Favorite Macaulay tradition is probably the week of the Baylor football game.
Okay.
I'd say and particularly the last, having won 6 of the last 7, it's particularly fun.
Yes, sir.
Whip up on those guys. That's a fun week.
And then more specifically, like which day within that week, like the pep rally or like what's like the certain?
Yeah, I think the game day itself. We get the pep rally and then just the energy it's built up to that night and just the incredible school spirit, that all you guys have, and then again whipping them on the field. I mean, it's just it's hard to beat that.
It is.
Sir. We're not going to let you escape that question. I'm going back to it. Who is the funniest employee?
Funniest employee, I would say there are a lot of funny people here. Steve Hearn is really funny. Mr. Hearn, who's in our advancement office. Though probably a lot of y'all as students don't necessarily know him.
Yeah, I don't really.
And he used to be the admission director here a long time ago. In fact, he hired me right out of college. I came and worked at Macaulay for a couple of years before graduate school. Mr. Hearn hired me. He's got a really, really funny sense of humor. So I'll go with Steve Hearn.
Oh,
That's
Wes
unexpected.
Wes and I were very off on that one. I said Carlone.
I don't even remember what I said.
Yeah, I don't think Wes made a guess.
I don't think I did.
Maybe I need to talk to Mr. Hearn a little bit more.
Get to know him.
So moving past, that's the end of quickfire. It wasn't very quick, but
I was kind of slow.
It's fine. So we're gonna talk a little bit now, like your time at Macaulay and how it was kind of as a student, because I feel like most people don't really know that side of Mr. Burns. So we know that you had an amazing family history with Macaulay and your grandfather, like you said. So could you tell us a little bit about what that family connection is and what made you ultimately choose to come to Macaulay yourself?
Yeah, so my grandfather came to Macaulay as a student in 1916. Graduated in 1920. He went to Emory for undergraduate and a year of graduate school. Then he came back to Macaulay to teach French. And then he was employed at Macaulay as a teacher, but then as a dean of students and associate head until 1972. And then when he retired in 1972, he still lived on campus, put up the mail until he died in 1977. So for 61 years, except for when he was at Emory, he was at Macaulay. Wow. And so his role would be like a lot of what Mr. Scholl does now. Warren James, Dean James, a lot of alums would remember. And so he was particularly involved in the boarding program. And as I talk to alumni at events around the country, I mean, many, many times alumni, they'll start tearing up and crying as they remember my grandfather, the impact they had on their lives.
That's awesome.
He was like a second father to so many of them. And I think that's what's still so strong about Macaulay's. The men and women who work here are such great role models and mentors and just so closely connected to students. And so he was one of those sort of early people in the history of the school that just established, hey, Macaulay's a place of incredible relationships and mentoring.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
So now kind of to throw it back to when you were a student here, kind of what were you involved with here? And then more, I guess, in depth, who were some of your favorite teachers from back when you were a student?
Yeah. So let's see. So I was involved with the Senate and Keokio. I was on the tennis team during my years here, played a lot of tennis. And then I'd say in terms of, I really liked all my teachers, but Mr. Lesourd, for instance. Mr. Lesourd is my 9th grade honors English teacher.
I called that one. It was a joke, but I got it.
He did
It was a joke, but I got it.
There's so many alums that would say, hey, Chet Lesourd was just an incredible person in my life. And so as an English teacher, he was a varsity tennis coach for some of my years here. And then Dr. Latham, I had him for AP English my senior year. And I think I really deepened my love of writing and literature because of Dr. Latham and just learned to think. So I'd say, those couple of teachers in particular. David Vining was my varsity tennis coach. He's a middle school math teacher now. Yeah. So those were some of the teachers I think that particularly stood out for me.
And then this is an aside for me. This is improv right here. How's it going from them being like teachers and coaches to now you're kind of like you're the boss now? Has that been weird, or is it just kind of?
It kind of was at first, but I don't think of myself really as the boss. I really don't. These are colleagues. We're all in this together to do great things for you guys, as students. But it is sometimes weird, particularly at first. I still want to say, Dr. Latham instead of Cleve, or calling people even by their first names a long time ago. It is a little bit of a funny thing, and I still have very vivid memories of being in their classrooms and being coached by them. But again, I don't think of it in terms of being a boss or whatever.
Yeah, I get that. So then, do you still have some close connections with like your old classmates from your graduating class at Macaulay?
Yeah, I do. The friendships that I formed at Macaulay, and I think you guys will as well, be lifelong friends. And one of my best friends at Macaulay at the time was John Meacham. He was going on as a famous writer and on TV a lot. So we were best friends at Macaulay, and then I think David Deathrow and Gary Welch and Michael Mathis, and there are a bunch of people like that I still keep in touch with. Some of them are involved and serve at Macaulay in different ways. But I feel like when I see or talk to a Macaulay classmate or friend, it's like no time has passed at all, and those bonds are so deep.
Hearing that as a senior is really nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then I guess a last question about your time as a student here. What would you say is the biggest difference between Macaulay then and Macaulay now?
Yeah, a couple of things come to mind. First is just the campus itself. I mean, all the new buildings have been built. The campus is now 125 plus acres. It's about half that size when I was a student. But I think what's more of what Macaulay, it's the same. The essence of Macaulay is the same. The mission, the relationships, the high expectations, the values. To me, that's all the same, has the same basic feel. I think Macaulay students today are much busier and more scheduled than when I was a student. And I think sometimes that can be overdone. And I think you guys can have too much stress and anxiety, and you need more time for health and wellness and balance in your lives. But students take more AP classes. Teams practice more days and more hours, and that's more specialized. And it's a lot more stress and pressure and busyness, I think, than when I was a student.
Okay. Yeah. So then now going into your time after Macaulay, so where did you go after Macaulay? I feel like everyone kind of knows, but like they don't know. So like, where did you go after Macaulay? And then how did Macaulay prepare you for that experience?
So I went to Dartmouth for undergraduate and loved that. And one of the reasons I picked Dartmouth, it reminded me of Macaulay in a lot of ways. Dartmouth is a college. It's relatively small, students well-rounded, balanced education. And so I love my experience there. I had that same sense of community.
That's awesome.
I felt very, very well prepared for Macaulay, even compared to students who'd been at the quote elite New England boarding schools. I felt every bit as well, if not better, prepared than them. Dartmouth wasn't any harder for me than Macaulay was. I think you guys will find that next year. You'll realize how well prepared you are coming out of Macaulay. Once you get to college, I don't think it matters what college you go to. You'll say, hey, I'm well prepared. I can think well. I've got good study habits. I know how to live independently. I've got a high standard of sort of character and citizenship and so forth. I think you'll realize that. You guys will. Well, Jacob next year and then Wes the year after that when you head to college.
Well, we're still seeing if Wes will graduate. It's still up in the air.
I got a whole year and a half to go, so we'll see.
Well, Jacob, we may blue shirt you. We may hold you back, so just so you can be here for another year.
Fifth year.
Yeah.
Fifth year tornado talk host. Maybe I could see it happening.
That'd be fun. So yeah, I guess we hear about college, but somehow you ended up back here.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are really curious to know what that process of becoming head of school here, and kind of really when you felt called to education.
Yeah, that's
because I think that's definitely a unique, place to be working in.
So I remember, toward the end of my time at Dartmouth, a lot of my friends were looking at going to law school or doing investment banking or something on Wall Street or so forth, and so I was looking at those sorts of things as well. But I knew my heart really wasn't into that. And so Mr. Hearn, the funniest man at Macaulay, in my opinion. So he was the dean of admission at Macaulay then. Yeah. And so he called me and said, hey, we've got an opening in our admission office. Would you be interested in that? It took me half a second to say, yes, I'd love to talk about that and consider that. And I'd worked for 5 summers at Macaulay Sports Camp before that. And I think in doing that, I realized I really enjoy working with, younger people and trying to pour into them in some way, into people who are younger. And so I think between having that, Mr. Hearn calls, I'd had the, sort of that, just the joy, the way I enjoyed working with younger people. I'd always loved Macaulay. I think for my grandfather, I had a great appreciation for education. So I think, God sort of orchestrated those things in a way where it all came together. And so I came and worked at Macaulay for a couple of years and thought, well, let me see if I want to be sort of a career in education or not, because I still didn't know for sure. And I realized I do think this is what I'm supposed to do, what I want to do. Yeah. So then after a couple of years here, I went to graduate school, got my master's in educational administration, and then went to a school in North Carolina, was a teacher and coach and administrator, became assistant head the last couple of years there, and then had an opportunity to go to Memphis to be head of Presbyterian Day School for 14 years from 2000 to 2014. And then Macaulay, when Dr. Walker retired, the board did a search, and I was fortunate enough to be offered the position.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
So, wait, where are we? Oh, yeah. So what were your emotions when you got that call that was like, hey, Mr. Burns, we want you to be the head of school at Macaulay?
Yeah, I remember exactly where I was, and I wasn't expecting it at the time because the search was going to be, I thought the search would last longer than it was. But I was on the MUS campus. I know, lacrosse team, you guys were just out in Memphis.
Yep.
So I was on the
Got
MUS
that
campus, and my son Arthur, who's a junior here now, Wes in your class.
Yep.
I just dropped him off at a lacrosse camp, and I got a phone call from my college trustee saying, "Hey, we want to offer you the position to be head of school." And I could hardly believe it because it had been, it's sort of a dream job, and I wasn't going to build my whole life around it, but obviously I knew sort of the career I was doing and my background. I said, maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. But it was kind of overwhelming, and I remember thinking at first, I just need to make sure I don't mess up Macaulay because I've got such affection and love for Macaulay and admiration for the people who've been here and who've led it and taught here that I wanted to, goodness, I can't, I didn't want to mess that up.
Yeah.
And I've told, Spencer Macaulay, he was a headmaster when I was here, I've told him several times, I still think him as Mr. Macaulay. Okay, I promise I'm not going to mess it up. And Dr. Walker did a great job too. But it's a real honor and blessing and a real joy every day to be here.
That's cool.
Yeah. So what would you say is kind of the most exciting thing about being the head of school here?
It's being on Tornado Talk, of course.
There you go. Yep. Great answer.
You heard it here first.
Great answer.
Everything he says after this, we're gonna cut just that part.
Yeah. No, but it's really getting to interact, with students, do things like this. But actually, I don't get to do that as much as I would like. In reality, Macaulay's a large institution. A $35 million budget. We operate more like a small college, and there are all kinds of fundraising and business and other things too. So that regrettably takes away from the direct time I have in doing things like this. But it's really, having those chances to do that, but really see the sort of, young men that you guys are becoming. It's really inspiring because you pour yourself into a line of work and you want it to be meaningful and to see the fruits of that. And so the fruits of that is when we see like, hey, you guys are wanting to serve and accomplish things and the sort of what your character's like. And that's what's really satisfying and rewarding about what I do.
Yeah, that's cool. So, and then what would you say is, what is the hardest part of the job, and like, how did you get through that part in your?
The hardest part of the job, I'd say, is dealing with the complexity, of Macaulay, because with as many employees and, over 10,000 alumni and a couple of thousand parents and just sort of making sure everyone's, developing a sense of cohesion and community in a world that's, we've got this great, rich, diversity, and people have unique personalities and motivations and hobbies and interests, which is great. And then saying, okay, so how's this big community all come together? And I think we do that because I think there's such loyalty and such a great mission that we have. But we're all, we can all be, selfish, or we have flaws and mistakes and so forth. And so getting everyone, like, you think about a family with 3, 4, 5 people, and you think, their challenges, in that. And I'm one of 7 children, and I've got 3 children of my own, so I know just how hard it is in sort of small scale to do that. So then you think about it, Macaulay's a family. How do you get, thousands of people to stick together, stay together? It's a great challenge, but I think we generally do it really well because there's a great love for Macaulay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. My family of 5, we fight over board games, so I don't know how you do it.
I remember your chapel talk when you talked some about that, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So what would you say is your greatest accomplishment as head of school here?
Whatever we accomplish, I don't think it is mine. I really don't.
Okay. What is Macaulay's greatest accomplishment since you've been here?
Okay.
Way to go, Wes.
Yeah. I would say, like something that a lot of people wouldn't realize, but we've got, just in the last, 3 or 4 years, we've had some alumni commit close to $90 million for our endowment in just the last few years. And so what that's going to do long-term for Macaulay is immense. And there's this huge financial structure that undergirds what you all do that you all would never see, which is fine. But so much of it depends upon, the financial support that we get, so we can, have merit scholarships and need-based scholarships and hire great teachers and build buildings and, pay our electrical bills and send teachers to great conferences. And all those things happen because we're a well-resourced school. We got to work really, really hard at that. And so I think, I think long-term, that's one of the most significant things that we've been doing is getting people to step up and make really, really meaningful gifts that have a huge impact on Macaulay long term.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome.
And kind of on the flip side, what would you say has been, I guess, the most disappointing thing that you felt has happened to Macaulay since you've been here?
I think the most disappointing thing was when we had everyone had to leave for COVID that spring.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
that was just so sad.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, because Macaulay, I think the essence of Macaulay's brotherhood and relationships, and you can't do that well over a screen and when you're far apart. And so I remember in chapel, having to say that day, hey, we're leaving Friday, and this is on a Wednesday. I think it was really sad and really, really disappointing, that we had to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was no fun as a student.
Not at all.
But it wasn't, of course, not Macaulay's fault at all, but it was just.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I remember it was
tough
so surreal, because I'm living here on campus, and with the campus just deserted. I mean, some of our international students, were still here, but for months to have a closed campus, and I go out for a walk and wouldn't see anyone at all. It was really sad.
Jeez. Man. Yeah. So then, what we talking like back to the financials and things, like, what is your like most exciting project that y'all have brewing behind the scenes that maybe
Right.
Tornado Talk could eat an inside scoop on?
Oh
Yeah.
Okay. There is a really interesting project. I'm not sure I can do a great reveal on that tonight, though.
Oh no.
Let me think.
Maybe second best. Maybe second best.
I mean, certainly we've broken ground on 16 new townhouses. That's going to be awesome. We're about to break ground really soon on a new center for Lifetime Fitness and Squash in the outdoor program.
Oh.
Those are going to be great. But one of the things I admire about Macaulay is we're always trying to push to make sure we're getting better. And even though we've got these enduring foundational values and commitments, and we're clear on our mission and how that's tied to our history, but we want to make sure we're constantly getting better and thinking about, okay, what should the curriculum be like? What classes do we need to offer? New classes? How do we need to teach in new ways? What do we need to do with whether it's tornado term or experiential education or a lot of things? And the thing I can't quite get into right now relates to that, because I'm not sure it's going to happen, but it's a really really
I might
cool
have an inkling of an
idea. We'll talk offline. I bet you. I'll be surprised if you do. I'm going to be wondering how you know.
Well, I think we might have had we might have had a meeting with this.
Sorry, guys. We tried to get it out of him.
Yeah,
just couldn't do it. Seal tight.
So, well, I guess we'll scratch that question too.
So you can ask whatever question.
Well,
you
no,
ask.
this question is almost identical.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I thought you meant about that, whatever this project is. About.
No.
See, this is why we need new writers, guys. We're repeating the same questions over here. We need writers.
Okay, so I guess moving on. How would you? Well, you've answered that question too. You've done a great job ansering questions.
Thank you.
Not been asked
great
yet.
Questions. Asking questions before we even ask them.
I know. So I guess we'll skip to this one. Yeah, this one's a good one. Jacob actually wrote this one.
This is our
that's
lighthearted.
why it's a good one.
Yeah.
This one's more fun. So what is the funniest story that you have from your time here as head of school?
Funniest story as head of school. See, what I'm going through in my mind is, okay, this is going to a public audience, so there's some things I probably need to edit out.
Yeah,
that I would want to say.
That's been most people's reactions to that question. They gotta censor some stuff.
Yeah. Let me. I guess I'd say though, in general, one of the things I appreciate about Macaulay is we try not to take ourselves too seriously, and I think there's a good bit of healthy sarcasm here. We like to laugh at each other, and people who are at Macaulay who take themselves too seriously don't do particularly well here, as a teacher or student, and so I think we need to be able to laugh at ourselves and just recognize, hey, we're gonna make mistakes. We can be silly and so forth and funny.
Yeah.
So how about I'll just I'll sort of dodge that specific because what comes to mind I probably better not.
We might have to ask you that one off the mic
exactly.
too.
Yeah, exactly.
So now we sent out something on our Instagram, and we had some people submit some questions.
Okay, great.
That the student body would like to ask you. We only picked a few. We only picked the good ones. But the first question is, with the upper lot gone, what is the future plan for parking on campus? This has been a very hot topic at Macaulay.
Yeah, so we're going to put an underground parking garage in the quadrangle. So you're going to get to roughly where the amphitheater is right now. So it's going to go down right there. It's going to go 4 levels underground. And then, so that's what we're going to do. So therefore, parking's going to be great. I mean, no one will have more than probably a 1 minute walk to a class.
Yeah.
You
You couldn't
believe
get
that?
me there. No, you couldn't get me on that one.
No, parking, it's hard right now. I mean, it's not great. We've, in building those townhouses that took away a lot up there, it wasn't a lot. You had tons of cars on it, but I know Borders in particular, kept their cars there. And so we had to push some parking to the southern part of campus. I was actually talking to Mr. Werner today, who's our director of operations, about, hey, let's get a quote for, there's kind of not really a field, but kind of a grassy area, the south part of campus. Said, hey, what would it cost to convert that into a parking lot? We're about to tear down some faculty homes once the new townhouses are built. So that'll open up some areas for parking potentially as well. So we're getting a quote on that. You'd be amazed at how much it costs a parking lot. It's just crazy. I mean, you wouldn't think it'd be all that expensive, but it really is. So we really try to be really careful stewards of the dollars, but we do know we need more parking at Macaulay.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. We do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't fear, students. It is coming.
It's in the works.
It's in the works. It's in the works.
Yeah.
So now for this next question, I like this one a lot. Will Spears Stadium ever get a jumbotron?
Yeah, it'll get one when we sort of enclose it, have sort of the retractable roof over it. I think at that point we'll probably add the jumbotron at that point.
Can you give us a time frame for this retractable roof and said jumbotron?
Yeah, when you two guys each donate, $100 million specifically for that.
You got that. You got that.
You got
Yeah,
it.
no, I would not anticipate a jumbotron. I mean, at some point we'll get a new scoreboard. Some scoreboards have a little video built into them, but not a jumbotron. How you think of one at Neyland Stadium or something like that? No.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And then the third and final question. We picked this one because it was a little funny. Do you think ultimate frisbee will ever become a varsity sport?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't.
It's about as good
I
as
don't
you
know
could hope
why.
for.
I don't know why it wouldn't. I mean, what we try to do, if there's with any club or sport or so forth, we want to make sure things are well resourced and have a high ceiling for excellence on it. And if that makes a difference in the quality of their experience, I was actually talking to Mr. Sansbury today. I mean, because we need the ultimate team field. Their field isn't a full length field. Down the south part of campus, it's sort of a 2-level field. So we've gotten a quote just recently. Okay, what's it going to cost to expand that field, which are basically bringing in a bunch of dirt, so it's all one level, so the ultimate team could have a full length field. They need that. They deserve that. It's just a question of resources. Every single thing we do at Macaulay like that is based on getting gifts to do that. And that's why we got a great development office with funny man Mr. Hearn, and I spend some of my time on development work as well. But a great development team that's raising money for Macaulay.
Okay.
Awesome.
And I've actually another question that kind of
Go,
piggybacks
Wes.
on
Go,
that
Wes.
one. So the soccer field.
Yeah.
If you're sitting on one sideline, you can't see the ball at the other end across the field. It's kind of shaped like a hump. Out of curiosity, as a soccer player, given any sort of money to potentially change that field and flatten it out a little bit?
Yeah, I've talked to Cush some over the years. I mean, I know that field, there's some issues of drainage on the field. We're aware of that. And probably the crown on it's not quite, it's not quite right. But again, a money issue there. And then with the fields, I mean, there are now some grassy areas along Dodds Avenue. So one of the things we're looking at is, okay, what do we do with the fields? I mean, if we took, the current soccer field, we, improve that. There's some other areas where we could create additional fields as well. And what about, another turf field potentially? Someplace. And so those are some of the things that, we're looking at, working on campus master plan. We're getting ready to go through a big strategic planning process next year where we'll gather input from faculty and students and alums and parents and think, okay, for the next 5 to 10 years at Macaulay, what do we want to become? Because it's not all about what my vision is. I mean, I've got sort of my ideas and so forth, but really it's about how do we sort of rally together and link arms and say, hey, what's next and best for Macaulay from a curricular perspective? And I mean, the fine arts needs far more resources and programming and as well.
Awesome.
Sweet.
That was a good question there, Wes. Good question.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, you guys are great and easy to talk to and fun.
He's just inflating the heads at this point.
Ego's getting way too big.
I'm just trying to soften you up so I don't ask any really hard questions.
The booth needs to bring us back down there, bro.
I know.
All right, so now to end it off, we like to play a little game that we call Guess that teacher. So we give some facts about a teacher, and then it's your job to try to guess the teacher.
Okay.
And then we'll give it off a hint. This teacher is a he, so that'll help you out.
Yeah.
Even though most of the teachers here are male anyway. So
Yeah, well.
the first hint is that he traveled the Southwest and rock climbed for winter, living out of the back of a truck.
The second hint is that he hiked the French Alps in the summer of 2005.
That's kind of sick.
That's kind of cool.
Was tear gassed in the Ecuadorian city of Cuenca during a public protest.
Wow.
This guy lives a crazy life.
I know, I
Wow.
know. This next one's
Okay.
really crazy.
Okay.
This teacher surfed El Nino storm swells while traveling the length of the Baja Peninsula.
Wow. Okay. I'm gonna say.
Wait.
Whoa, whoa,
there's,
whoa,
there's
wait,
more.
yeah, there's
There's
more,
two more.
there's
There's
more.
Two more. Okay. Great.
He seemed ready, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got an idea.
Chased a grizzly bear on foot in the Black Hills of South Dakota. Okay, I need it.
Have you verified all this, or is this just what he's saying?
This is
or
what
he-
he's saying. This is
Yeah,
what
exactly. You
he's
need to
saying.
fact check that.
This might be somewhere to the Jumbotron and Closing Roof at Spears.
For real.
Okay, and then the last one. Oh, this one's funny. This teacher saw the Grateful Dead play in person, and he was unimpressed.
Wow. Huh. I thought so highly of him until Jake Altimus.
I was
No,
confident,
that
but
was-
that is incorrect.
Here's-
Sumner McCauley.
No.
The first part of it made me think more of Sumner.
Here,
than
I'll
the-
give the one hint. I believe he's doing a trip in the summer that relates to one of the facts.
doing a trip that relates to one of the facts.
But I'm pretty sure he is. I'm pretty sure he
I
is.
think you're right.
Paco.
No. All right, one more guess.
Okay. Let me see. I'm stumped. I mean, it's such a random.
It is a random
That's pretty
assortment
random.
of facts.
Is it? Can we give him a little more hint?
Yeah, give me
another hint.
The surfing trip that
So this
he's a part
sur-
of.
Okay,
The
so
surfing
surfing
trip.
trip this summer. Jeff Kurtzman.
No.
I didn't know
I'm trying to
Mr.
think of, like, I know
Kurtzman
he-
was doing the surfing trip.
Now,
That's
I
pretty
don't
yeah,
cool.
because I don't know off the top of my head who's
Okay,
doing
okay.
that surfing trip.
It is.
That's why.
It is Mr. Keith Chapin.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so he is doing.
I'm impressed.
I know.
I mean, there's so many cool things about Macaulay teachers.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. That's
Yeah, I gotta talk to Mr.
That grizzly
Chapin
bear
about
one
that.
is
The
a
grizzly
little-
man one is wow.
now speaking of grizzly bears, Gordon Connell once wrestled a bear.
Really?
Yeah, you have to talk to him about that sometime.
We have
He
some,
literally, and there's some video footage of that. When I was in his 8th grade science class here at Macaulay,
Yeah.
he talked all year about, I wrestled this bear. And finally, toward the end of the year, he showed us the video of him wrestling a bear.
what?
Yeah.
Who wrestles a bear?
I know, exactly, yeah,
How do you get
exactly.
in a wrestling match with the bear?
And who
Like,
chases a bear?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Wow. All right. So
what Macaulay
Mr.
teachers will do
Chapin
for bears?
yeah,
apparently.
Mr. Chapin, the new guy on campus, got to talk to that guy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So that does wrap up our episode. Thank you so much for coming, Mr. Burns. We really appreciate you answering our questions and the students' questions that they sent in. So just wanted to thank you for that.
Well, thank you guys. This has been fun. Appreciate it.
And as a thank you gift, we'd like to give you an amazing shirt with Wes and I's beautiful face on it that you can wear around campus.
Of course, I'll wear that with
Tomorrow
wow.
is actually a
Tomorrow
text
is
day.
a text
Text
day.
day if you
Okay.
want to throw that thing on.
On TEPS days, I check my schedule. It seems like a lot of times I've got a meeting of some sort that I can't really do that.
Sounds
But
like
if
an
I
excuse
can,
from the head of
it's okay.
school.
No,
It's
no, no.
okay.
Well, I tell you, would you guys sign this shirt?
Whoa.
That'd give it even more value.
Yeah, no, we
Yeah,
we
okay.
can.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
could sign this shit.
Our egos
yes.
are way too
I know.
We will.
Just sign the
not
shirt,
help it.
and I'll wear it. If not tomorrow, I will certainly wear it.
Okay.
I will treasure
That's
this.
awesome.
Yeah. As Jacob mentioned earlier, we do have a new space, so hopefully there will be kind of a virtual tour of it soon. You could call,
Yeah. A little something.
peek at what's going
Yeah,
on
peek
behind
at
the
what's going on.
scenes. Don't forget, we're still doing roommate wars and on the street segments, so be looking for that. And let us know if you want to be part of that. We're always looking for roommate duos who kind of want to test each other's knowledge. And I mean, Man on the Street's kind of random, so don't go asking to be in that.
Yeah.
But if you see people walking around with cameras, I mean, if you want to be there, just
run up to them.
Just run up to them.
It might be awkward at first, but it's fine.
Josh will make you laugh. I can guarantee it.
Also, be lookout on. I know I talked about it earlier. Be on the lookout for any application or information that we send out to be a new host or a writer. We'd love to have you on. It's a ton of fun. Wes and I enjoy it a lot. But I will be leaving. The cooler part of the duo will be out next year, but Wes is okay. He's great.
Yeah,
I'm
blessed, apparently.
Be on the lookout. We'd love to have you part of the Tornado Talk team. Again, thank you, Mr. Burns, for coming on with us.
Thank you so much. Yeah. It's been a lot of fun.
It has.
This really has been fun. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone, to listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.